Okay, so who listening out there is old enough to remember a wonderful show with a bunch of girls living in a dormitory in a fictitious place called Eastland? Anybody remember that? I can't get into the name here. Whoever knows about, things about that when you mention things like that here. But I think you pretty much know who I am talking about, what show I'm talking about. It was a great show, and it originally aired, the pilot, I believe, originally aired like as long ago as 1979, but then it continued on for a solid practically a decade, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong here or there, but I think you get the facts of life when you watch that kind of show. Anyway, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Jan. Welcome to another episode on this channel, the Save Money More with Jan channel. How you doing today? Hope everybody's doing well. Why am I talking about these people? Well, the characters anyway. It was a great show. It was a great show, looking back. And what does this have to do with money management and clutter? Could there be a connection? Well, I was watching of course, they're all old. I was watching an episode that was like a culmination of all the years, and it was graduation day. It was graduation day. And if you followed that show for any length of time, I watched the whole series. I can honestly say there are a couple of shows that I watched the entire series. 99% of every other show, I don't watch the whole series, but there were about two shows that I watched the whole series. All right. Anyway, the culmination of the whole show, after all the years of and all the ups and downs and situations that went on at that Eastland fictitious place with the wonderful Mrs. G, if you recall. Let me tell you something. The graduation episode, which by the way, you can get on this platform absolutely for free. So if you look it up, you could get that the graduation show. It's a two-part series. Two-part series. It was really fun to watch it, and also kind of emotional because it evoked a lot of memories. Let's say in our own life, growing up and graduating, all the emotions that come with it. But we'll talk about that. Let's say in a different program. However, this one at the end of it, you see very emotional things occur with every character, but especially the youngest character, and her character name was Tootie. Who remembers Tootie? I'm sure all of us do if you watch the show. Very, very interesting, funny character, and really entertaining. But in this show, she was extremely, because she was kind of like the youngest member of the four. And yeah, so she really had a hard time grasping that the two older characters, okay, so Blair and Joe, they were graduating and they were leaving. And it was very, very hard for her to accept that they were leaving. So she said, how? She started crying. How? Why? How can I accept you two leaving? It'll never be the same. And then, of course, the other character, why is her name? Oh, Natalie. Okay, Natalie says, no, but at least we could, she's trying to rationalize it. We could get together for lunch and all that. But then it's still goodbye. So Joe, the character Joe said, but it's still goodbye. I mean, that was her character nature, pretty upfront, very typical person, like a New Yorker that would be robust about just saying, this is goodbye. So, I mean, to like that specific circumstance in their life, living together like that and, growing through their high school years and all this and all that. And just, yeah. So the youngest character, Tootie, said, well, how am I going to do this? How do we do this? So then the character, Joe, said, sometimes we just gotta do this. Wow. Wow. If you see that episode, you'll say, But Jan, still, your title of this video is Money Management and Clutter. Could there be a collection? All right. I mean, connection, not a collection. Hey, why does it say collection? I have to retype that. That there is a typo. So when you see it, it'll be corrected. What the heck? Maybe I need to add some caffeine in my coffee. That's why I'm rereading. I'm like, wait a minute here. Let me fix that later. Anyway, but when you see it, it'll say connection. Yes, there is definitely a connection between money management and clutter. Okay. Like the character Joe said upon graduation day, and like I said, that Tootie couldn't cope with it. And Joe said, sometimes you just gotta do it. That's it. And that's the truth. But what about that with money management? All right, let's go to clutter. I'm going to save the best for last with money management. Okay. Let's go to clutter. Sometimes, well, as often as we could, right? We declutter, hopefully, right? Now, decluttering is different, okay, than organization. A lot of people, I think in my mind's like, this is my opinion, not any stretch of the imagination, an expert in this thing. You have to check out the wonderful folks that are out there. But in my mind's eye, okay, I definitely believe there is a big disconnect between that, those two things. But we still have to, like Joe said in reference to graduation day, sometimes just gotta do it. Like a reference to, breaking up the four people and going on their own, life's journey, right? That doesn't mean you're not going to be friends. That doesn't mean you're not going to get together on occasion, right? How many times have you had jobs or situations where you thought you'd be together for a very long time, then some change comes up out of nowhere, and it's like, huh, what happened? Huh? Still friends, but it's not the same. Never the same. Never the same. Why? Because we evolve, and sometimes in life we just gotta do it, and that definitely holds true with clutter. Now, decluttering is essentially the first thing anyone is logically going to do is throw out the things that need to be thrown out right away. But then the next part may take a little bit longer. Okay. It requires discernment, a little deeper discernment to think about what's going to go, what's going to stay, where it's going to go. Right. Okay. And then ultimately, there may be a time or a point in your process that you have to find a home for, put a place for, put it back where. And that's the hard part for some people. Okay. Like the physical walking back to bringing the thing from going to where it really belongs, its rightful spot, the thing that has been cluttering up and in the wrong place in your home or apartment or wherever you live. And you have to like look at it and say, I really have to put this back in cabinet left on the upper above the fridge place where it belongs? And of course the ultimate answer is up to you, but it's a great idea, right? Of course, it's a great idea. And until that thing has actually found its rightful place, its rightful home, sometimes guess what? You just got to do it. Yeah. So that means bringing that thing over to that place and putting it back where it, quote, and a quote, should be or belongs, right? Sometimes people don't like to hear the word belongs. Well, if hair care products, your let's say your hair dryer, other things, quote, end of quote, belong, let's say you keep it in your bathroom vanity, because in your life that's where it belongs. Okay, so you may be in your living room, but for some reason or another, you got a phone call, you ran over to your living room and dropped your hair dryer in the living room, and that's where it's been living for a few days. You keep looking at it, hoping and praying it's going to walk back. That hair dryer should walk right back to the bathroom vanity where it truly belongs. Interesting. Excuse me, please. That is very interesting. And sometimes, even if we're not in the mood, we just gotta do it. All right, so much for clutter. So we mentioned about those four girls in a place called Eastland, and they learned how to have some facts of life, if you will. And great show. Anyway, if you've never seen it, you may want to see it. You could find it. You could find some of them full episodes right here on this platform. There's a plethora of things you could find right here on this platform. All right, which we're so grateful. Now, Okay, so let's move over to money management. I can't believe it says money management and clutter. Could there be a collection? Oh my gosh, where's my brain? What did I do with it? Oh Lord. Anyway, it has been corrected since you get to see it, but I'm looking at it. It still looks quite funny. It's at the top of my screen here. Anyway, okay. So let's get back to money management. Could there be a connection? Money management and clutter. We have a lot of mental clutter. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's say, excuse me, please. Let's say you had a tiff or a riff or whatever word you like to call it with your, let's say, supervisor at work. Okay, and it kind of like, of course, you contained yourself probably 9 out of 10, but it still got under your skin, if you will. And you're thinking about it like, "Rrr," and all day long. That's part of mental clutter. Or let's say a family member comes home with a bad report card from school. Ah, I know that so and so could do better, right? But but this happened anyway. Or I thought that it would be a better result, and you're disappointed. Maybe it wasn't. Who knows the reason, but disappointed. Okay, get a phone call you didn't expect that threw your whole day off. That happens, right? This is real life, right? And you're like, "Urgh." This contributes to the waste basket, as far as I'm concerned, waste basket of mental clutter. And the problem is, little by little, it adds up. It's like anything else, right? If you have a waste basket and you throw one little wadded up piece of paper in it on the bottom, there's nothing else in there. No big deal. There really is no big deal, just a little piece of paper in there, right? Then, of course, time goes by and it adds up. You throw this out, throw that out, the broken pencil, you trash that, you throw this out and that out, and it accumulates. Then all of a sudden, it's like, what is going on? This happens in our mind's eye through the course of a day. And I'm telling you, it can really make a mental clutter. And, sometimes we say, I want a budget. I need a budget. I want to track down my spending, create a spending plan. I want to do a budget. You want to, you really do, in earnest. You really do, in your heart of hearts, you really do want to have a budget. But you also know it takes a little time and a little planning and mental clutter. Time to declutter the mind. You know why? This is why I always recommend whenever you're doing something financial like that, checking out expenses, going over your last month, looking ahead to next month, and so on and so forth. Have a clear mind. But I don't feel like doing it. That may be true. That may be true. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying life isn't challenging. Sure it is. Sure it is. Tell me about it living in this massive city here. Tell me about it. Yeah, it could be very noisy, it could be very loud, it could be very annoying. But like Joe said on that day to the gals, to Tootie specifically, sometimes you just gotta do it. It was hard. It was hard for them to leave the younger two behind. When they graduated from that fictional place, okay, called Eastland. Right? It was hard. They did it. Got to do it. Sometimes you just gotta do it. But I don't want to do a budget, but I still want a budget. See, it's like a half and half. The person says, "There goes the bird clock," and it is 7 o'clock Eastern on the Sunday prior to me recording this. There you go. Sometimes it is true. You just gotta do it. Have a great day, everybody. Take good care of yourself and your wonderful family. Thank you so much for being here. Super thanks are always and forever appreciated. It doesn't have to be huge, 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 but any contribution. Thank you so very, very much. Have a great day. Thank you.